welcome everybody to Beyond I Do. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast.
Yes.
And I named it right. I didn't call it Beyond the Letter, so that's good.
Job.
So
Good
I'm very
job.
proud of myself in that way. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Always hearing great things. Love people who tag us on Instagram when you're reposting or just this past week I got a bunch of texts from some other pastor friends that were like, man, I enjoy your marriage content so much.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, dang,
That's
thanks.
great. Yeah.
I
Well,
was
and then
I
I hope everyone had a great Valentine's.
That
or
just happened.
Galentine's. Yep.
Yep.
However you spent it. I hope it was
Galentine's.
fun.
That's single girls, right?
Single girls. Yeah.
They do Galentine's.
So it'd be
men?
Mm-hmm.
No, what a single man will tend to do on Valentine's Day is more than likely he's either playing some type of video game on Valentine's. He probably is getting Five Guys or In-N-Out or Chick-fil-A back home.
Yep.
And then if he has a pet, he's chilling with his pet on the couch.
This is what you're saying you would do if you weren't married and
For
single.
sure.
He literally looked at Rooster.
I'm looking at Rooster, yeah.
He's like,
Rooster, eat my
if
bed.
I really had my dream Valentine's Day without you, it would be Chick-fil-A and Rooster.
And listen.
I can give you that, bro.
Listen. And I'm a romantic, which you are not.
Right.
So I'd probably be watching some type of romance movie, which there are dozens that I
He would
enjoy.
want Notebook.
So, no, I don't. Notebook is an incredibly good movie,
gosh,
but
no, it
I wouldn't.
isn't.
I wouldn't watch it by myself. Yeah, I want to. It's amazing. You've never seen it?
It's awful.
I just feel like you've never been in love before. That's what I think it is.
I'm getting there with you. I'm getting there.
Right. 12 years later or whatever.
Speaking of
What?
the question,
Oh, yeah, what was it? I forgot.
can you be in love with two people at the same time?
And your answer was?
No.
And my answer was yes.
I think you can.
Of course you can be in love
I think
with
there
two
has to be a
different
level
people.
of lust at that point. Like,
But what is love? What is love?
got to do with it. Got to do with it. So, as I told you, we're still working that out.
Right, yeah. So she wouldn't know. She can't talk on it. I could talk about it.
No, I don't think you can love two things, but I honestly don't think you
You
genuinely
love both your sons, right?
I love both my sons. I do.
Okay.
But I love them. I have to love them differently.
Okay, but you love them both.
Yeah, but they're talking about loving like I want to say in dating wise and relationship
let's
because
say-
like I love both you and Nathan, but I would never want to be with Nathan.
But you're paralleling. If you're looking at Greek, you're paralleling different. There's 5 different versions of love
I know,
in
I
the Greek.
understand that.
So you're talking about brotherly love
yeah.
in terms of Nathan, and then you're talking romantic love with me.
Yeah.
So the question that this person more than likely is asking, because reason why we got on this, everybody, is because somebody asked the question: can you be in love with two people at the same time? And the reality is, and if you look at the different versions of love, so we're just talking about romantic love, more than likely. That's what the question is coming from. And so the short answer would be, is it possible? Yes, you could romantically love more than one person. Absolutely.
Yes.
Now you go into ethical, moral, you go into commitment. We just talked about this in a recent sermon series we did, the difference between contract and covenant. So yes, according to Christian principles in covenant, you are choosing to love one person. That is the point of the vows.
Right.
It doesn't mean that there's an impossibility to love another. That's where you fight your flesh. Because is there a reality?
But would you think that it was love or would you think it was lust? Because if you're fighting your flesh, it would be more of like, ooh, I desire that person more than I'm in love with that person.
No, you're denying your flesh in terms of desiring to want to be in a relationship with them. Is there a possible world where I could 100% love you, but then I could not hang out with you much and then invest every day with a woman and then find an equal or parallel or more love in that moment? Yes, that's what part of the denying the flesh is for. Would that be? But then would that be?
You're not
denying your lust flesh. Your flesh is also your thoughts, your emotions.
I get that,
but
there would be desiring something, not falling in love with something because it's also deceiving at that point.
There's like a pop in our mic or headphone. Do you hear that?
Or is that just me talking?
No. I hear. I
don't hear
I hear like
anything.
a pop or something. Maybe we'll see when Ashley starts talking.
Maybe it is
No.
me. Sorry. Is it my teeth?
No. Go ahead.
Okay.
I have ADHD, everybody, so it could be my head.
No, what he really just did was try to throw me off of what I was going to say so that he would be right.
I have
No, just-
attention deficit disorder. See, I'm hearing it still. It might be my headphones, as long as we're good.
Let me get on the main.
One of y'all just need to put headphones on and see if you hear. None of you guys are wearing headphones, so.
Come on. All three of them. 1, 2, 3. Power
Then
Rangers.
maybe it's just, I'll let you know if it happens again, but keep them on.
He just turned off the other mic, so that could have.
Oh, it could have been one of the other mics. It could have been.
Just clicking
Okay.
on it.
Continue.
So, this
Do
is
you
what I'm
remember?
saying. Okay, so
Oh, it happened again. You didn't hear it? Okay, then it's just my side. It's my headphones.
Joe is married to Mary.
Correct.
Joe and Mary, they're married. Okay?
Is that a reference to the Bible,
No,
Joseph?
no. Oh, look at me. I'm so holy.
Yeah.
No, Joe and Mary.
I know she didn't
I
know that
really
because
didn't
she
know.
don't be knowing her
No.
Bible like that. So I knew she didn't do that on purpose.
But it was. Hey, you don't know. I can't stand you. Joe and Mary. And then Joe and Mary, obviously Joe loves Mary, loves her at home, but then obviously maybe starts to pick up things that she doesn't do. She nags. She's with her all 24/7. We've had this conversation before. Now Joe
Okay.
goes to work, and his assistant, Martha, is now doing everything. Yes, man. Yes, man. He
Yeah.
starts to fall in attraction for that. He starts to, this is someone that I wish was at home because she's telling me yes
Sure.
all the time. He's falling in love, or is he loving the idea of a quote unquote perfect woman because she's an assistant or like a coworker, whatever it would be. So is it love, or is it
Sure. Why couldn't you be?
he's in love with the things that she does?
No, you don't know that. I mean, he could, if you gave yourself away to that, you could. That's why love is a choice. That people fall out of love all the
Right,
time because they
right.
fall out of the choice.
Right.
What does it mean to fall out of love? It means you stopped choosing to love that person.
Yeah.
Unless this person drastically changed, and this person is one, this person, like the Bible tells us, started committing adultery, blah, blah. But so many couples, especially empty nesters and other, they fall out of like with each other. But they equate that to love. I'm falling out of love with you. And so at the end of the day, love is a choice that you have to give yourself to. We just heard this from another pastor couple where he said, there's 1,000 other men better for my wife, but my wife has chosen me. He said, and he's like, I'm not saying that out of humility. Me and my wife argue, we annoy each other, we this and that. He goes, there's probably legitimately 1,000 other men out there who will probably get on her nerves less, but most Christians don't believe in this idea of soulmates, that God, before you were born, said, hey, this person is the person that they're going to marry. It's the sense that God has given free will to people to choose who they want to be with, who they want to love, who they want to marry, and stuff like that. And can God lead you towards people? For sure. But God isn't literally like, you were born, this person was born, and God's like, this is their soulmate. I'm going to craft them for them. So
I was that for you, though. I know.
yeah, sure.
I'm going to ask him that when I get there.
For sure. he's gonna say, I'm gonna say, God, then you should have stopped her from all those dumb decisions before we met. We probably would have been better off earlier on than we needed to be.
No, but you're a man of God.
I know. Exactly. You got the great end of that deal.
Oh my gosh.
So-
Anyways, I honestly though,
you take someone. You're removing. Because here's the thing: the Christian element, the moral element of what we read in the Bible, 1 Corinthians, what is love, all these things like that, marriage. Those are institutions, covenants given to us by God. And so in order to adopt that idea of love from God, you have to adopt God's standards for what he defines as love. That doesn't mean that you can't love in the outside world those ways. So you take someone who's in Islam and they have 3 or 4 wives.
Right.
If they looked at me and said, I love all my wives, I wouldn't question that. I want to be like, well, which one do you love more? Which one do you, because I believe you could choose who you want to love and how you love them. And if they're okay with, that's out of our culture. That's out of our concept of understanding. But I would not question and say, no, you will have to only love once, because I'm a parent and I know what it means to equally love my sons. One gets more attention than another. One time gets more investment than another. But to me, both of my boys, I equally, and when I had Thomas, I didn't understand the concept of loving more than one child until I had a second child, and I thought, oh, my love just expanded. And if we ever had 4, 5, 6 other children, I have no now would there be one that maybe I connect to more than the other? Sure, that's how I grew up. My dad had a better connection with Caleb, and then my mom had a better connection with Nathan. But now that as I've gotten older, do I believe my parents equally love all of us sons? Like, yeah, definitely. I've seen it proven in our life. So can you equally love someone else? 2 people? Sure. Is it the responsible thing to do? Is it the Christ-like thing to do? Is that what God has called us to, bear God's image? 100% no.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Right.
But is it secularly possible? Sure.
Yeah.
Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is long-suffering. Can you exasperate that towards more than one person? Yeah, sure. Can you romantically love more than what you romantically love 9 people? Yeah, sure. But is it the biblical thing to do? And that is the idea of what marriage in a Christian standpoint is I'm allowed to do everything, but that's Paul's whole point. You could do everything. Many things are lawful, but is it beneficial to you? No, it's not. So is loving more than one person beneficial? No. There's going to be jealousy involved. There might be anger involved. There's going to be could be arguing involved. There could be, in Islam, I've heard a lot of these Islam TikToks, and she's like, there are days I don't want to sexually please my husband, so I want him to have more wives because the husband's sex drive is bigger than the wife's, and so let him have 4 or 5 wives so that whenever he wants it, at least one would be available to say yes. There are some American men who looking at that and go, hey, I might want to be Islam, but that is their rationale.
Right.
That's their rationale for it. And we look at that with a Christian lens, which we believe Jesus is the truth. We go, hey, that's probably not responsible because, and we see some of the negative side effects of what the marital bed in Islam looks like. Most of the time, the women are under certain subjugations and all these things like that. And you go to more of these Sharia law countries, and women can't, have driver's license and vote and do all these things like that we would naturally say is not part of what we believe our biblical constitution, thinks is fair or opportunistic based towards women being equal in many regards, right?
Right.
So, have I convinced you yet, or you don't know yet?
I guess. I just would tell the person, like, if you're in love with 2 people at the same time, I hope that they both don't know it and you're doing it from afar and not in this triangle and playing both sides. Because you did say through all of it in a Christian base, you can do it, but is it biblically correct? No. Or biblically
it's
right.
silly. It's overall silly. I mean, if you're, and that's where people get, like, you could 100%, you or me, if tomorrow I decided I'm going to go find another woman I could be in love with, I could find it. It's not impossible. It's not hard, So,
it's impossible, Ashley.
For Ashley, it's impossible. And for you, too, if you're like, I'm going to go find another man to be in love with,
enough.
Like,
you have been enough.
You're like, oh, man. But, I mean, because it's a choice. Yeah. So the moment you could totally start disregarding certain things or just in general, just equally approach something. But would that not probably, because we're Christian, would that not wreck something? Yes, but that's how people convince themselves and rationalize themselves to get into affairs. Is they start to tell themselves, I'm falling out of love with this person, and I'm falling in love with this person or in like with this person. So therefore, I'm going to pursue a relationship with them while I'm married to this person. Why? Because they convince themselves that love is not a choice; it's a desire. And as long as your needs are being fulfilled, that's a legitimate surrender of love. And so for me, whether our good days are bad days, and that's what we just talked about in our message, it's a covenant for me. It's not a contract. So there's never a day where I'll walk away and say, I don't love this person, this woman. It's a choice that I make every single day. And there are days that we annoy the heck out of each other that you don't want to say, oh, I don't love that person today. But it's not a daily thing. It's not, today I love this person, today I don't. That's not how it is for my sons.
Right.
And so for my spouse, it's no different, There are a lot of people who let their kids get away with a lot more than they let their spouse do in terms of loving them. They'll have a kid that's in prison in front of the judge for committing murder, and they'll say, that's still my baby. But the husband leaves the toilet seat up. I can't love this person no more. Your son just murdered someone and they're on display, and you're saying, that's my baby. I love them. I'll never leave them. But your spouse, You know, your husband
Yeah.
or your wife, you just, you know, you let a couple years of dormancy in your relationship where neither of you have chose that covenant. People understand covenant when they view it in their children.
Oh, 100%.
There's very few things your children could do that would not have you love them. But there's a lot your spouse could do where you would not love them.
So when you're talking about, okay, that's like marriage, right? So when you're talking about single life now, so say I come across two men that
No,
found
Nancy.
like ethic.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I mean,
Go
religiously.
find men. 6
no,
men.
I'm saying no. I'm just saying. So
I'm
say I
for
find
it.
two like solid. They have a great foundation with the Lord. All that stuff is covered. So would you now, when it comes to choosing between them two, is like compatibility when it comes to like choosing something you guys think is super important? For example, he's into sports. I'm not into sports. So how important is that? Or if it's not, or is it just a personal preference? Like, it's just up to me really at the end of the day, you know? So when it comes to that, because say I do find two guys that are like amazing.
Right.
You know, speaking that out.
Yeah, right. Speaking it into existence.
Well, I mean, I don't think when it comes to compatibility, for us, we talked about our interests, our likes, our hobbies on the front end. Adam knew that I love sports. He knew my family loves sports. And I knew that wasn't at the top of his list. Did it deter me from wanting to hang out with him? No. We've been to sporting events before, and it's the most entertaining thing to see him in a sporting event. It is the event.
She can tell you a football game we went to.
We went to
one
a
time.
football game one time, and I forget, it was the
Rams.
Rams. It was the Rams.
Back when they were at the Forum before the
Yes.
SoFi Stadium.
And so him and I were just in this big old group. Mind you, this was wild. It was crazy.
It was a big game. It was like
a big
some
game.
something.
We have no idea. We got blessed tickets, so it's just him and I. And so we're in the middle of this crew of just blue.
All Rams fans.
All
Yeah.
Rams fans. It was insane. They get a touchdown. It was an important touchdown at that point. And everyone, if you've ever been to a football game, they start high-five. They don't care
Strangers
who you are.
start high-fiving each other,
everybody.
right? And people complain in church where they tell you to turn around and greet your
Right,
neighbor.
yeah, but they're going to just start high-fiving everybody. So we're standing because everyone's standing. So we're going with the crowd. And I'm like, I enjoy these things with him because I'm pure entertainment. We stand up. They get a touchdown. I'm high-fiving people because I know I'm part of it. I turn and look over at Adam, and I'm looking at him. He's like this, like arms crossed. The guy goes to give him a high five. He looks at him and goes, "Nah, thanks, bro." I was like, God,
I didn't know that high five was for me. It took me a second to compute.
Get me out of here.
He's like this, and I was like, "No, thank you."
No, thank you. I was like, what are we doing? I was like, sit down. You cannot stand up for another touchdown. He did not give a high five or anything. I was like, just give me a high five so they know that you're not crazy. Don't do it again.
Fandom doesn't make a lot of sense to me. The idea of being a fan of like a team, it doesn't compute in my head because I didn't score that touchdown. And I've been blessed enough to be in spaces where I've met like celebrities or athletes and all that, and they really don't want to meet you as a fan. Most of them have no desire for you to walk up to them and say anything to me, and that's always at the back of my head. That like if I ever met this person and said, "Hey, I'm a big fan," it means absolutely nothing to them. So very few people genuinely like care about having fans and really spend time, want them and will sit there and take a picture and autograph. And I do think there's a line that's crossed sometimes people with their family or whatever. But like when you're seeing them in concept of their game, like that always sticks out to me. Like I could see this guy at Target tomorrow and try to talk to him, and he would, in his head, he would be doing everything in his power to not want to talk to me.
Yeah.
So why do I care that he just scored? I understand the athleticism. That's very impressive. But the idea of like me cheering for this team, that's what always goes in my head. And it's a me problem. But that's why when I'm at these games, it's like, and I'll wear it. I'll wear a Rams shirt or whatever. But
see, that's the point. But you still go with her, and you'll like
he entertains.
Well, that's
me
what you
to
do
the
when you
max.
love someone. Yeah. I mean, that's love. I
So-
wouldn't do it for anyone I liked.
No.
I'd say no.
No.
If I was dating a girl and she's like, "Oh, let's go to a game," I'd be like, "Let's do something more interesting."
Right, right,
But the
right.
moment I love my wife, I'm like, I want to care what she cares about.
Right.
And if that's what she wants to do, that's what she wants to do.
Early on in our relationship, like the one thing I could not stand doing was going to LA and let's go to LA, and I'm like, let's go to LA. Let's do it. And so then when we got married, I was like, no more LA. I'm tired of it. The traffic. This is miserable. But until you hook, line, and
She still
sinker.
goes.
I'm kidding. No, I
Yeah.
still go. I will still go because I know he enjoys those things. So
Yeah,
being
like the stores and the
compatible,
restaurants
yeah.
and stuff like that. But
I think it all depends, like what we said. Like the person truly, if you do certain things, or if you, it's fun to explore with the person while you're dating as well. Because we went on dates in LA. You came and watched me play soccer one time. We went to a Lakers game while we were dating. There are things that we did that, although we weren't compatible in, we still did to say, I'm willing to invest in you and your interests because I see where this is going.
I did CrossFit when we
Yeah,
met. And you went
yeah,
to some of the
yeah.
CrossFit tournaments
Yeah.
with me to watch them and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I was never into CrossFit, but like I think once you open your eye to a new point of view, I think you just have to be willing enough to learn new things. I think when people are so stuck in what they know in the routine, life becomes boring. And I don't think a lot of people have interests anymore, and we've been so consumed with phones and what he or she is doing. You need to make your own hobbies, your own interests, and truly, like Nancy, we see you do your salsa, do those things.
Do your salsa.
Do your salsa, girl. I love that stuff, but it's fun because
But
I'm
do you
like,
need to find a guy who does salsa? Probably not.
no.
That might be
They'll go
something
with
you
you.
would
Even
give
if
up,
he
you know,
doesn't love
like-
to dance, like I see your
yeah.
guys' dynamic. I
Oh,
know Pastor Adam
girl,
is
not
a dancer, but Ashley, you love, like, you know, we
Oh.
have staff party. We'll go out there on the dance floor.
Yeah,
We'll have some
yeah.
fun.
Or
Stand
like-
at the table. My problem is I have opinions on everything. So that's my issue. So, and I have a thing on it. Like, if you ever seen like Larry David Seinfeld, like I'm a young version of that I just immediately, I'm like, why would I dance? Everybody's going to make fun of you because I'm making fun of you. So I'm not doing that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like it just immediately like, I just
So
step back
anytime
from
we
it.
go
I'm
to a
like,
wedding
we
or
all
anything,
know we're making fun of those people dancing.
He gives me one dance. That's all I need, and it's like when who's
like a
married,
slow dance or something
and I'm
like
like,
that,
hold on to me, and stay on my beat, and just look in my eyes. That's all I need you to do. Because other than that, then let's get off and look at how crazy everyone else is doing. So that's what we like to do too. We like to, like you said.
But if you came to me and you were like, I really want you like you to dance with me, or I really want to do salsa
we did
together.
say we wanted to do that, and then I was just like, meh.
But if you did, I would say yes.
absolutely.
As ridiculous as I think it is, or I look,
Yeah.
I would do it for you.
Yeah.
So I think
And-
that's what. But again, that's a choice.
It is a choice, but then for me, I've made the choice to know that that's not an interest of yours, and I'm not going to push it because
Which thank God. But if you did, I would.
I know you would,
be
but
like, wow,
because I love you,
yeah,
I'm
so-
not going to put you in that circumstance or in those.
But that's my point.
situations.
Like
Yeah, I agree.
it's a choice you have to
agree
make.
with you on this
I know
one.
you do. Yeah, on this one. Yeah, not the two lovers part one.
Yeah, this is crazy. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
But I think when you're dating, if you guys have not defined the relationship yet, and it's just hanging out, like go on multiple dates. Like
Yeah, I don't disagree
I don't
with
think
that.
I don't.
Yeah,
and
I
I don't
agree
think
with
you
that.
owe someone.
No.
Like if you've gone out with a guy, coffee, dinner, a couple times, 4 times, 5 times, you're loosely texting, and with him, he's not really telling you guys where you're at. And then another guy comes and goes, "Hey, you want to go out on Friday?" I don't think you owe it to that other guy
You
to
don't
say,
gotta
"Hey,
tell
I'm about
him
to go on a
nothing.
date. Like you better make your move." He hasn't. So go and find out who you clicking. That's what I think. That's why I think it's good to have Christian principles, because if you're not making out or going back to the apartment afterwards, you have enough room in there to not owe anyone anything. But yes, the moment y'all start making out in the car, or the moment y'all go over to someone's place, then yeah, you owe an answer on why you went out with another guy the next
Right.
week, you know. But when those things aren't happening, you know, it took months for me and Ashley, like probably 5 or 6 months to even have our first kiss, probably closer to 5, because I wanted her to know, hey, there's room in this thing to get out of this thing if you want, and I don't want you to feel tied to this thing.
Right.
And for me and her, we knew relatively early on that we were really interested in each other, but I had gone out with girls on dates before and told them, hey, this does, you know, feel free. If you meet another guy, let me
Right,
know, or
right.
whatever. Like, and I don't know if I've said it on this podcast, but there was a girl that I was kind of talking to for about 7 months prior to me meeting Ashley, and we were me and her were we talked for several months. We knew each other back in high school. She had a child, And she was flying in to visit her family, and we were supposed to go on our first date. And we had even talked about loosely, like, oh, what would happen on our first date if we want to kiss each other or whatever. And so we kind of talked about those things. And so she was really excited, and she was there for other things with her family. But on a Friday night, we were going to go on a date and see, hey, she was thinking about, oh, if we get together, I'd have to move to California because she was out of state. We were talking about that. And then the weekend I met Ashley, I messaged this girl. We were talking for about 7 months. And talking almost, every couple days or so. And I messaged her and I said, I met a girl tonight that I'm very interested in, and I'm going to ask her out on a date. And so I think if you're okay with it, I think that we should postpone our date coming up this Friday. And because I would never want to lead you on, but that's because we had really started defining and talking about what a relationship could be. We weren't just, because she was out of state, so we weren't just hanging out and having coffee. We were having legitimate conversation. And so I said, I don't want to lead you on, and so I want to go on a date with this girl. And if something happens, I just want to tell you ahead of time that something may happen. If it doesn't, then maybe if you're open to it again or whatever, we'll set up another time we go on a date. And she just messaged back, and she was just like, thank you for being so honest with me. Let me know if it doesn't work out. I might still be open to still go on a date, but I really respect you for letting me know. And that was the last time me and her had ever talked again. But I think that's an element that should happen if you're having really defined relationship talks, whether you're in a relationship or you might be, you're really talking about what this could look like or whatever. Then I think you owe it to that person to not be playing the streets and going out on coffee dates. But if you've been 4 or 5 dates and he's telling you like, this is just fun, let's just see where it goes, or even her on the vice versa. I mean, by all means, like keep your heart pure in the sense of not progressing the relationship. But man, go on 5, 6, 7 coffee dates with some guys.
Right.
What does it matter? He didn't put a ring on your finger, and she didn't.
Right.
She not. It's like
Right.
To me, I'm the biggest proponent because I was the guy who was in a 4-year relationship and said no to outside life and all that. And then when it kind of didn't work anymore, I was like, oh, I lost a bunch of friends because I said no to stuff and all that stuff. So my thing's like, if that ball ain't going down the field, and calling yourself boyfriend and girlfriend is not progressing the ball down the field, that's just putting a cute label on kissing each other and holding hands.
Right.
Like if the ball ain't going down the field and it's not like, I'm 22, I'd like this to get married at 24, let's progress this like this, or I'm 30 and here's what this looks like, how we date. If they don't have that fixed by the 4th date, that something on the field, then
I'm
it's
going
open
to ask
season.
you this question. Okay, so you had made a comment about how you're on multiple dates. So the girl goes on a date. She's on multiple dates. She's gone on a date with this guy 3-4 times. She goes on a date with someone else.
Yeah.
The guy finds out because he's now probed her, but she didn't tell him from the beginning that she was doing this date, but he finds out, and then he gets mad.
Yeah. More than
What's
likely
her
he
response? What's her response to this guy?
Her response was, I went on 4 or 5 dates with you and you've not made any other move. What you doing, Playboy? That's what her response would be.
Yeah.
I value myself, and I'm not going to spend 5 hours or more than that, 10, 20 hours with a guy going to a date or a movie. And by our 5th date, you not have any other inkling on what's going to happen.
Right. Should
like,
she at that point, like,
and you got to
say-
think in between dates, you guys are texting each
Right,
other
well,
and
that part,
calling
yeah,
each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
I mean, so there's so much room to decide. Like,
So at that point, obviously she should completely cut ties with that guy.
if he gets mad,
Yeah.
well, I don't think he has to be understanding per se. If he found out, number one, I don't think nowadays you don't have to live your life on social media. So that's where a lot of people, get themselves into goober territory because, a guy takes them on a date once and gives them flowers and she's posting it on Instagram, and so,
Goober.
so you're putting it out there that you're in a relationship or blah, 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 or, you're at dinner and you post his hands, at the thing and great meal or whatever. Like, what you're doing
Right.
as a girl or a guy. You're trying to tell people I'm out on a date with someone. And so, don't be surprised if someone's upset. Like you were posting me on Instagram, loose, not even their face maybe, but this or that. And or you did us a selfie at the carnival. then yeah, I'm gonna be think some type of way because I'm
Right.
thinking that's the progress of a relationship. But if I was a girl, I would, after going to coffee a couple times or
No
dinner
face,
a couple
no
times,
case.
and what's that mean?
No face, no case. So
Oh,
if
is
you
that-
don't
yeah,
put, if
the
you don't
post the
post
face.
their face or anything, then it's like, you kind of just still have your private dating
Yeah.
life. Not that
Yeah.
you're hiding anything. You're just No, I'm just
Yeah.
saying you're
My
not.
goodness.
It's not. I'm not hiding anything.
No, but I don't think you need to
You're
post.
just-
Like,
right,
why do
that's
you need
what
to
I'm
post
saying.
anything?
Yeah,
Why do you even got to
yeah.
post not his face?
Yeah.
Just anything. That's what the saying means. So you're not posting anything.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Now we're
Completely.
not talking about someone in a relationship. Those are different, like your boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever.
Yeah.
This is like we know the progression. So for me, if you're on your 5th date, that's probably what? Can we agree? Maybe within 3 months.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's about 2 to 3 months of your
With the
life
same
on a
person?
fifth date. Can we agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Every other week, 5, that's 10 weeks.
So can we just say, relatively speaking, 60 days to 90 days is a subsequent regular conversation and date to actually be able to decide is something going somewhere.
100%.
Okay. So if he or if she's playing that too and like, I don't know, I'm not ready, I'm just still seeing where this goes, then by all means, I don't think you have to tell them, hey, well, if you don't give me an answer, I'm going to start playing the field. But I think if you're at Starbucks and a guy walks up, it's like, hey, can I get your number? Give your number.
Right.
You don't owe this person nothing. You still don't even owe them anything if they're
Right.
boyfriend and girlfriend.
Right.
Now again, if you're keeping your heart and yourself pure, you don't owe anything. So
Right.
yes, if your boyfriend, girlfriend, you're 6 months in dating, you guys are having sex together and everything, which isn't part of our Christian definition of what a godly relationship looks like, then yeah, you're being dishonest if you go on top. But if you're doing it the Christian way, which is exactly how me and you said, I said, hey, I want us to continue and be friends and hang out. And I told you there is room in this relationship. If you find interest in someone else, if you could tell me, not tell me, but at some point when we sit down and I say, which was 6 months in the relationship, I could see myself being with you long term, married to you, blah, blah, blah. Then that's when I believed more definition was required to come into our relationship, which was more of that, hey, I'm not going to go interest with anyone else.
Right. And you and I had that conversation. That wasn't posted on a platform. That wasn't posted on Instagram. You and I never posted each other for the first year.
Well, Instagram wasn't really a thing when we were dating.
It wasn't. But
could we have? Yeah.
when
maybe.
we got in, anyone that would see us and knew us personally, that we told like, oh, Adam and I are exclusive or together in the sense of like what we thought that we're just talking to each other, courting system. They never, like, they would laugh because anytime we would talk in the courtyard, this would be our distance.
For sure.
We would talk like this. We never, when we were out in public.
I didn't hold your hand at church until we got engaged.
Until we got engaged. When we got engaged and we posted it or said something, 99% of the comments were like, I thought you guys were just best friends.
Yeah, they thought we were childhood friends.
Childhood friends.
Yeah.
That we were just best friends. And in reality, it's no one's business.
It was great that way.
It was fabulous. Nobody's in your business. No
and
one's
we talked about it that if we didn't work out, it wouldn't affect anything.
It wouldn't affect
very
anything.
Much,
And that's the thing I think that a lot of people don't take in consideration, because we had talked about, because I had gotten close with your friends, that we said that because I was coming into obviously your life and meeting your friends, you were like, I don't want to deter them either from being your friend, because that's something if we don't work out, you lose obviously our relationship, but then you lose the friendships. Now you come to this church and now you feel like you can't come here anymore. And so I think there were certain things, obviously doing how we did it in our relationship in the church was the right way, because we knew that we cared for each other. And that was the most important thing. We said at the end of the day, if we get married or we get engaged, awesome. If we don't, awesome, because I still have a really good friend. And that was something that we worked hard on to make sure that nothing was ever nasty, crude, or rude, but that we laid it all out on the table.
Yeah.
And that we were honest and open with each other. And so I honestly think that when it comes to the dating relationship.
No, I'm just, as you're talking, so one time me and Ash, we say this a lot more, actually with a lot more love than we used to. But we preached at a university one time, and we went hard on boyfriend girlfriend stuff, and you and I got obliterated after
they were mad.
Students were mad, and because we were just clowning on Christian dating, and we're kind of talking about how foolish it is, and all these kind of white picket fence Christian kids that grew up in Christian homes. Because what they didn't realize is like, we were talking about dating from a street sense, which is the only way her and I knew it, which Ashley had lived with a guy. Yeah. I had been with, many women. I've done whatever have my many girlfriends, all these things like that. I've had multiple girlfriends at one time. So we're both speaking from an actual very secular street sense of, you meet a girl at a bar and you take her home. And, so we're telling these Christian kids who are like, this is their first boyfriend, and we're like, dating as a Christian's foolish without purpose and knowing where the direction, and they took it so personal. But then I realized, we're from a subculture of Christianity that's very different from that pop culture evangelical church where like the child was, raised in this very, very secluded, very isolated, and their first boyfriend and girlfriend is probably going to be their husband and wife. So they got like really mad at that, where I'm like, on our side of Christianity. Yeah. And that's what we're saying. Play the field, go coffee with multiple. Yeah. How dare he, dare he encourage my girlfriend or boyfriend to go to coffee with someone else?
She's submissive to me and only me. And we're like, you ain't got no ring on the finger, bro. You can't even pay for a paycheck. Your mama still pay your car note. Sit down.
They did memes about it. Students were so mad.
So mad at us.
So I learned my lesson that
we have to give universities anymore.
We don't talk about dating at Christian universities. That's one thing. The second thing is I've also learned that people have to remember too, like we do have a narrowness of what we're talking about in dating, so yes, if you're in a secluded evangelical Christian church, and that's why I talked about the progress of the relationship. If the moment you say, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, we're going to be exclusive, then don't go to coffee with someone else or whatever. But that's just a sign of, being respectful. But I also think if you're dating someone and you want to get coffee with someone, you do what I did and you tell your boyfriend, hey. And there was someone who did that with us, who was in the church one time, who me and Ashley were discipling. The girl thought she'd be interested in a coworker, so she told her boyfriend of like 2 years. She dated this guy for like 3 months, and she told her boyfriend, "Hey, I might be interested with this guy. I want to start going on dates with him." This guy was heartbroken, and then she dated this guy for like 3 months. Yeah. Found out she's not interested in this guy, and she actually really does love that other guy. And then they ended up getting together. She got back together, and then they got married. Yeah. And so, to me, I go, I really, and we were encouraging her at the time, like, tell him, just keep it 100, and because she was like, because I won't go pursue this if you guys tell me it's wrong or whatever. I'm like, listen, does your guy is he ready to marry you right now? No, he's not. Okay, well, if you might be interested with the guy, do the right thing rather than work flirt behind his back. Just keep it 100 with him and tell him, I'm flirting with this guy, I might want to take a date. And I mean, honestly, but again, when you come from the context where we're at, where where you're not growing up in a Christian bubble where everything is perfect and mom and dad and your parents are orchestrating an arranged marriage. That's how it is in a lot of evangelical Christian households. The parents know each other in the church, and they basically, it pretty much feels like an arranged marriage type of thing, which is nothing wrong with that. Right. But they think when we're criticizing that stuff. And no, it's not. I'm criticizing the only church, the only Christian space we've been raised, which is the kind of a little more of a lukewarm Christian space where people are giving themselves to sex before marriage and calling themselves Christian and moving in with their boyfriend, girlfriend, and all, and then that's where I start having heavy criticisms on dating as a whole, Yeah. So that's why I was like, I'm not going to Christian universities and ever talking about dating. I'm gonna say I hope you all just have great futures and y'all get married and we love you and so glad you guys are dating.
Yeah. I would say, like, even when it came to the dating stage, like growing up, like it wasn't taught. Like, I feel there should be like a class on dating. Like, they teach you.
We're doing it right now.
No, I understand that now. But like for us, we never got a class of what that looked like. We got a visual, like, you should not have sex until you get married. But like, okay, how am I going to find that person? Like, what does that look like? What should I be looking for? How should I approach it? And so when we were at the university and they were like, oh no, I'm dating this person and I'm going to marry them. I know that's for sure. And it's my first girlfriend ever. And we're like, oh, okay. What standards
In my head, I'm like, there's no way you guys are marrying each other. But,
like, what standards are you on? You know what I mean? Like, what's your background?
I mean, I got angry emails. There was a girl getting her degree who was a youth pastor, and she said, you've given the worst advice I've ever heard in all my years of youth ministry. And I told her, how long have you done youth ministry? She said, oh, I've been a youth, but she was like 19, 20, but I've been leading in my youth now for a year. And I'm like, at that time, I'm like, well, I've done it for 7 years.
Right.
So,
right.
I don't know. But then I started realizing, like, I know what context they're talking about.
Yeah.
It's a white picket fence Christianity, which is nice. I hope we all can raise a Christian household where there's no bleed over from the world. And, it's just not our case of who we
definitely not
minister
Matthias.
to. Yeah, I mean, it's not my experience.
Our fence is starting to get a little brown.
Yeah, exactly. That's with technology now. It's definitely the world. Period. You can't. All right, everybody, welcome to our advertisement.
Yeah.
So you're watching our episode. We did a short break.
Yep.
What do we got a little break for, Ashley?
Oh, something really, really exciting that when you came home and told me about the news, I was overjoyed, and I hope you had 30 pieces, but you only had one, but it's okay.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about our new partnership.
Yes.
With an amazing jeweler.
Yes. So we have big news. We've teamed up with the exceptional jeweler, Aaron Barnett, to bring you a unique jewelry experience from precious metals to custom creations. Aaron has it all, whether you're treating yourself or surprising a loved one. So it could be for you or someone you love, okay? Mother, grandmother, sibling, spouse, a loved one. His jewelry is a testament to cherished moments. As part of our community, you get special discounts and a chance to visit his private showroom in Los Angeles. So for anniversaries, birthdays, or just because, discover Aaron's jewelry in our show notes. Elevate your relationships with exquisite pieces from our partner, Aaron Barnett. It's a great relationship that we have because now we can offer great discounts to our Beyond I Do community to hook them up. And so you visit, like we said, visit the show notes and let's get back into the show.
You know how you mentioned within like 60, 90 days, 5 dates or whatnot. So there was a couple other questions like that said, how early on should you, hopefully if you were not already involved in, any sexual activity, you don't have any of that to share. But if you were, in your past did have, sexual partners, like how early on should somebody disclose that? Like when you're dating?
Girl, I told Adam the first date.
Like
I don't remember that far. I don't remember what that looked like, but we talked about it pretty early on.
It was literally, I felt like, because when I met, obviously, this is my first date, obviously, outside of what I've normally dated. He's a pastor, handsome, and I felt like for him, he could read all my sins. I was like, is he a priest? I was like, sorry, Father, for I have sinned. And so it was within it was the first date. We were at coffee because I had to tell you because I didn't know where you stood on it, and I was very honest. I said I just want you to know, obviously on our first date, if this is of an interest. Or
but that stuff I knew already. You didn't know I knew, but
I was like, right. I was like, I am not a virgin, and he was like, it's not a problem. I was like,
me neither.
Oh, great.
Yeah, it just, yeah.
All right. And then it was one of those where it was, we then began, obviously we got to know each other a little bit more. Then we started to disclose a little bit more as we saw our relationship going more seriously, is where I wanted him to trust me. But in that moment though, which we've said multiple times before on not only podcasts, but in our teachings, is I never held him against his past and he never held me against my past because he was not present in my past. So he has no right to speak into my past when he wasn't there. So,
yeah.
And I'll couple, before you answer, I'll couple that too with, because there was another part of the question of like, what about mental health issues? Like how early on, I don't know. And that can range from a lot.
Stuff is still unraveling with me. And he just like,
yeah, I probably wouldn't have made a covenant if I knew everything to get myself into. Yeah. No, honestly, now older. So I got to put myself in, because Gabe and Jermaine are in the room. I walked them down their dating lives to their now wives. And so if I go back, and Jermaine's throwing up like gang signs and stuff
He's
like that.
oh gosh, he's about to walk out.
Let's just say, okay, now someone like Gabe or Jermaine walks into my life right now and wants me to mentor them in their relationship. If both of them, her and him, started providing feedback to me that either A, whatever their sexual activity was in the past, or whatever mental health they have and stuff, I don't think you owe that stuff until you start getting a little serious. And serious to me is probably on that third, fourth, fifth date. Ashley brought it up first one early on. I mean, I think you can if the conversation goes there and you feel like you want to talk about it. But I don't think it was owed to me that she had to bring it up then. I think that we had another pivotal conversation that was like, she asked me, like, has your dad asked any more about me or something? I said, yeah. And she said, what have you told him? I said, I told him I'm really interested in her and I really want to see where this goes. I think around those times is now where you start talking a little bit more about what's happened in your life. Now, here's the thing. If that was the case and those things start getting talked about, like if I was, even considering myself, if I was walking with someone that either had my past, which was multiple girlfriends at one point, multiple sexual partners, her case had lived with guys in the past, had blah, 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 I would say more than likely, if you were at Abundant Living, I would say you both independently should go through forward because you don't realize how much deliverance you really need from your past. And to just say, oh, I'm healthy, it won't happen again, you had to have really worked through what that is, right? So Ashley and I went through some hell our first year of marriage for my various issues and her various issues. Some of the things that weren't my issues were I had been with a lot of girls who, and some would do whatever I wanted physically. And then I marry my wife and she's like, I don't like doing that intimately. I don't like doing intimacy like that. I don't like doing intimacy in that. And it is a game you play with your head because you're like, I know 3 other girls that would have no problem doing what you don't. And I just made a covenant to spend my rest of my life with you. So that was like an oh shoot moment with me because I'm like, I thought you get married, y'all just go in a bedroom and it just becomes a playground. Yeah. But I didn't realize, she's going to be different than this other girl and this other girl and this other girl. And so, oh shoot, things that I liked that I shouldn't have known I liked because I didn't do this in God's standard, she don't want to do. So, well, good luck, so I really needed some deliverance in the area of Adam. You're taking your sin with you in the bedroom. And so you need to tell yourself ahead of time because it may not be beneficial to talk. If we talked about it in our engagement, it may not have been beneficial because now you're opening up a lust for each other and you're talking about your sex life and all that. And guess what? You're going to end up jumping in sex every day to try to prove yourself wrong. So when you get married, there should be some room where if that's your past, you're going to have to talk about it. Like, I watched porn and this is what I liked in porn. And I don't want to recreate that in the bedroom, but I got to admit, this is what I used to like. Yeah. And so I'm going to have to get deliverance from this.
Right.
I need to work this out with a pastor, or if you're part of a charismatic ministry like ours, we actually have a deliverance ministry called Forward. But like you have to actually start processing that in a biblical way to get freedom from her. I've shared it before and I just shared it when I preached this weekend. She told me, I know it's going to be any day now till you cheat on me like all other men cheated on me when we were married. So I got blamed guilty for something I didn't even do because she had been with guys who never knew how to show her any respect. So to me, it's less about when do I share this with the person, and it's more about, are you willing to do what it takes to be healed of it and be delivered of it?
Right.
Because you could confess it to the person you're with all day. And even if I shared that with Ashley, there's things other women did that you don't do. To me, it's not even fully her responsibility to say, okay, well, what do you want me to do in the bedroom? Because she may genuinely not be comfortable with it. So it's my job. I have to break free from that, whatever you want to call it, perversion, that worldliness, that secularness, that darkness, demonic mindset that I invested in myself because I chose not to walk with Christ.
Right.
That's my fault. And that's her fault for the way she didn't walk with Christ when she walked with Christ. So yeah, when I met her, did I not hold anything against her? No. But should I have been more purposeful about her finding a place where she finds freedom from that and deliverance over that, and her making sure I did? Yes.
Yeah.
That should be more emphasis. So if you're dating a guy, you should if you start getting serious, you should talk about what his porn addiction looks and sounds like. And if he says, well, I once had it, then you want to say, well, when was it? When was the last time?
Yeah.
What does that look like? What makes you look at it? Is it when you're stressed? Is it when your boss yells at you? Is it when you watch a rated R movie? What does that look like? How can I help you not find that addiction again? Because he may, because he loves you, say, oh, I don't look at it anymore. Just assume maybe he does. How could I help you in the future? Because some couples get naive and they go, oh, he told me he once did, and then we got married and I found out he did. It's like, more than likely he didn't once did. He always did. He just didn't know how to tell you.
Yeah.
So try to open a space for your spouse to say, hey, how can I help you? When we get married, it ain't gonna fix everything.
Right.
So how can I process with you your failures?
Yeah.
When I got married with Ashley, it didn't all of a sudden mean that she believed that I was never gonna cheat again.
Right.
It just means that she had hoped I didn't. But it didn't mean it fixed it for her.
Right.
So then I
Right.
had to process to say, what builds trust with you from guys that didn't give you trust? What can I do that flares up for you that I'm being untrusting? You know, like it was that kind of, well, if I don't know your password to your phone, okay, well, here's the password of my phone. And then I told Ashley she had a password of my computer. She looked at my computer once without me knowing when we were kind of like maybe 9 months married. And I told her, if you ever look at my computer again without me knowing, we're going to go straight to counseling. Because I don't mind that you're looking at my computer. I mind that you're doing without me knowing, which means you're not trusting me. So I want to know why you don't trust me. So I told her, if you ever do it again, you can go look at my computer all you want. But if you ever do it again without me knowing, we're going to go straight to counseling. Because if I'm doing something that doesn't, no, it has nothing to do with you. It's just, I don't trust men. Then why'd you marry me?
Right,
You know,
right,
like that was my
right.
point. Like, I don't mind that you're still wrestling through it, but don't ever dishonor me and make me feel like I'm being dishonest with you. Because when you go through
Right.
my computer, but if you just need to know the password and that makes you feel better, I'll
Right.
tell you the password.
Right.
So, but then that's where I drew a line and said, but if you go through it when I'm not in the room, you're telling me you don't trust me and we're
Right.
going to have a problem.
Right.
You know, and it was like, oh, we were building boundaries in life. You want to go through it with me standing next to you? I will. But right by you wanting to do it, I want to know, what have I done that doesn't make you trust me? And then at that point, I don't care that you want to go through it. I have nothing to hide, but we need to go to counseling then, because you still got some stuff you're clearly working through.
Yeah.
Or if she needed to check in with me every time she went to the gym, it'd be like, Adam, what, like, you got to go check on something. Like, that's not
Right.
normal, you know? So
Right.
I think when I'm talking about dating, and I just want to overemphasize that, because I think we overplay this idea of I once, or I used to this. And again, I mean, that's the whole premise of the book I'm writing, is there's no such thing as I once or I used to unless you've been delivered of it.
Right.
No such thing.
Right.
So without deliverance, there's no I once, it's still you.
Right.
I once lived with men.
Right.
No, Ashley, when you and I were dating, if I said you should move in, you still would have said yes.
Probably.
Because that conviction hadn't sat in her heart yet. So
Yep.
it's not that she once used to live with guys, it's that she's still willing to live with a guy. But I had felt my standards were higher, which raised her standards in that
Right.
moment. But that didn't mean that she still wasn't open to walking in a secular way that she wants it. In the same sense with me, if she was like, yo, let's have sex every day, I don't think that I would have said no. So we both had to level each other's standard, but that doesn't mean I was delivered from it.
Right.
We didn't get that till we got married
Right.
and had to go through some hell. And then our biblical counselors, Nathan and Sanaz, as also just being accountability, process through healing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because even after the beginning of the first 9 months, it was a lot. Yeah, it was a lot. It was heavy and
I had
deep.
to go on a quick tangent because I felt like there's been some holes in some things I've said, not lately, but over the years, which is the point isn't just authenticity and honesty. The point is healing.
Absolutely.
And freedom and deliverance. That is the point.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, it was something where to this day now, since after the 9 months, I would say obviously it took about a full year for us to, like, our first year was pretty rocky, but then like
Our first year was not a honeymoon year. For
No. And so, but with the whole healing process, it was a true reflection of, Ashley, where have you been hurt that you do need to get healing from? What has happened in your past? And I never knew that because it was never talked about. It was never defined because you as Christians shouldn't have issues. You should take it up with God and he should be able to heal and restore.
Well, it's also the falsehood.
And
You're committed yourself to Christ, so therefore nothing you ever did in the past has an effect.
Not only doesn't have an effect, but like there's no such thing as trauma. There's no such thing as baggage. There's no such thing as
hurt or whatever.
Yeah, God has restored and healed. There's grace and mercy, so you should always continually walk in that. But me now realizing and being married and the incident that happened 30 days prior to us getting married, I'm like, holy smoke. Like, I have some big insecurities in this relationship, not with you, but with myself, to where I didn't know that it was. And then I tucked it back down. And then obviously that event happened 4 months into our marriage to where it just exploded to where like and then I wanted to blame you. And you would say something every time. And this obviously, no, it was a good thing. But you would get mad. You got mad at me because I would say like, when I made the statement, it's not, in a couple months, you're probably going to cheat on me. And you would say, what did you say? You would say like,
if you keep saying it, maybe I will.
No. You didn't. That's cruel. You said something basically like, what hurts me the most, and I think that's what broke me, because you didn't say it in the moment. Mm-hmm. I think it happened like 2 months later because I was still looking in your phone and doing the whole late night stuff. And so it was like the 4 months happened, and then I was still struggling because I was going through your phone and your computer. And then after that, the 6 months to the 9 months is when we're like, okay, this has got to change because this isn't fun. But I think it was like the 6 or 9 months, I forget, but you said, you thinking I'm going to cheat on you. What did you say? You said something basically about hurts me because that's my character or something like that. And I've never been a man of, what did you say? You said something to that.
Yeah, it's something that
and that broke me because you go, that hurts me because I've never given you any reason to not trust me. And you're attacking my character to that degree.
It was something like being faithful to you is how I pride myself.
Yes.
And by you questioning my fidelity, it makes me think that you question my character.
Yes.
And that I'm not the man who I'm called to be.
Exactly.
And then there was another element, which I don't know if it was said then or later on, or that we just tell couples, is also, if you keep saying you're going to cheat on me, you're putting a self-fulfilled prophecy in someone. So that's why we even tell people to say like, you're so much prettier than me in the relationship, or you're so much this, because like you're putting a self-fulfilled prophecy out there. So when like, I know my wife is beautiful, but I never go, oh, she's out of my league, I can never get her. I could say that as a joke, but some people say that out of their heart. Right. Well, then at some point you may wake up and go, I'm out of Adam's league. Why am I putting up with him?
Yeah.
I would never want to say that every day. I would want to say, I'm in Ashley's league. Yeah. She's in my league. Yep. And we're great for each other.
Absolutely.
This is who the Lord has put. I mean, I may make, you could say it in a joke, and when people be like, oh my gosh, man, you know how beautiful your wife is? Like, oh yeah, man, God bless me with that. I definitely batted up for that. Like that you could say that. But I know people who say that stuff genuinely every day. I don't even know why she stays with me. She's so much better than me, or he's so much better than me, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you got to take that out of your mouth.
Absolutely.
You say it enough. That person may be like, you know what? You're right.
Actually, I left two people at once. See ya.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I'm Muslim today.
No, but I think that's a really good point. I think that's one of the things that needs to be highlighted is getting healthy, is truly focusing on you and how you can do better. And that's a reflection every day. I think that's one thing when it comes to relationships, to marriage, that we talked about a lot. The marriage has to do with us, but marriage has a lot to do with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to seek the healing and get the help, it's not a bad thing. And that's one thing that I had to get out of a mindset is growing up that if you needed help or you needed healing, you weren't saved.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you had like major sin in your life
Yeah.
or whatever that
yeah.
is.
And I think that's the hard part as Christians, and we have to take off those scales, is understanding that we have a God that can restore. We have a God that can heal. And unless we can truly admit that we need that, I don't think he's going to be able to heal us at that point, because we can continue to walk around and say, oh, I'm healed, I'm restored. But unless we've actually said what we need to be healed and restored from, I don't think God is going to be able to move within you to where you can freely talk about it, to say, yeah, after the first year, I don't look through Adam's phone anymore. Mm-hmm. I gave that to God, because at the end of the day, I know this man loves me. He's proven that he loves me. He shows me that he loves me. He's provided, he's led. What other reason? And I mean, at the end of the day, whatever does happen, and if something were to happen, that falls on him. That's not on me.
Yeah.
As long as I'm continually supporting and loving, and I hear the clicking now.
You hear it now?
Yeah. Supporting and loving.
Nobody has headphones on anymore. We have rogue headphone people today.
And I just think that for that, the healing truly does need to take place. And so anybody that is listening, or anybody that, is it that?
But that didn't happen in Beyond the Letter. And it was right there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Maybe.
But anyone that is listening and feeling like they are going through a rough patch, or feeling like they may need to fess that there is some healing that needs to take place, going to something that is going to help you, you should never be ashamed of. I was ashamed to go to counseling. I was ashamed to not seek help. I was ashamed to not talk about my feelings, because, like I said, take it to God. He's going to heal everything. Mm-hmm. But sometimes it's good to release with those around you. And I know that a lot of people have said it.
I think sometimes. I think every time. It's essential. It's in the future, I would not marry someone if they, as a Christian, I wouldn't marry someone if they had something that is unconsequential or inconsequential to the model that God has given us. Right. If a person has lived a secular lifestyle before, it is essential to make sure that you doesn't mean it won't have effects when you're married, but it's essential to make sure that you have exercised freedom in that area.
Yeah, absolutely.
We just married too many people and counseled too many people that were like, I was this, I fell in love with this person. 2 years later, when the marriage wasn't going great, like it normally happens in every marriage, you have dry or whatever, all the stuff from before Christ or period, if they didn't have freedom, it comes back up again.
Right.
And then the spouse acts surprised, like, oh my gosh, you don't love me. No, they love you. They just, they didn't find freedom from this sin. And so, like there could be a boundary for you that says, no, that is a line. If you engaged with that, then, but if I married someone, they're like, yeah, before I was a womanizer and I cheated on women and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, as long as they love me, they'll never cheat on me. Like, no, like you have to make sure, even as a man, if you're like, oh yeah, I used to cheat on women, I'm a womanizer. If you find someone you love, you need to make sure you were still free from that. Because when that marriage bed goes dry or it ain't as fun as it used to be 3 years in, 5 years in, 6 years in, your flesh is going to rise up again.
100%.
And if you're not free from it, then buckle up, buddy, because it can come. It can come for the woman and the man.
Yeah,
it can come.
absolutely.
So just saying, oh, I found the person who I love, that means I'll never have any of those negative side effects again. No, that's not a guarantee. What is a guarantee is healing from the Lord, deliverance from the Lord, freedom from accountability. Yep. Those that know you know what your weakness is. They keep you accountable to it. Like that's what needs to be probably talked about more in the dating space. Yeah. So maybe I'll call Mike Todd and tell him that he needs to talk about it in his next series, because he talks about the single dating more so than me. I talk more about the marriage stuff than he talks more dating stuff. So I'll call Mike, be like, hey Mike, I got a nugget for you next time. I'll give you a sermon illustration for it too. Do some. All right, everybody. God bless you. Thanks.
Bye.